good. Good evening, everybody. Let's call the meeting to order and begin with a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance. First, a moment of silence for all the men and women in uniform around the world. Thank you. Amen. Now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I thank you all. Roll call, please, Melanie.
Chairman McKee.
Here.
Vice Chairman Marcotte is absent excused. Member Keithler.
Here.
Member West.
Here.
Member Sills.
Here.
Member Evans is absent excused. Member Richmond is absent excused. Member Wunderlich is absent excused. And Member Henderson is absent excused. So we do not have a quorum.
Yeah, Mr. Henderson is a new member. We have not met him yet. At least I haven't. So maybe next meeting. Okay, with that,
We want to have the attorney kind of represent where we go from here.
yeah, it was scheduled to do with the elections, but we don't have a quorum, so we can't do any action on that. The next one will be so we'll put that off to on the next agenda. And next in Roman 2A is the minutes. We don't have enough people for that action, so we can't do that either. So I guess we'll be at number 3, old business.
Yes, thanks for the record, Mike Rumor, city planner. And at the last planning and zoning meeting, the information was quite extensive and there was some good dialogue. So I said at the next scheduled planning and zoning commission, we could bring back any additional comments, questions you had. And going into the meeting, it looked like we did not have a project lined up to go forward, but I thought, I figured everybody here's one of their favorite topics is comprehensive planning, so I would get enough for a quorum, and we could do elections. So turns out I was wrong. But if there's the next step, we have to advertise an expensive ad to go to in order the city commission to transmit the requirements to the state for their review. So wanted to not cancel the meeting and say give the comments to me in email, but I have not received any comments from members. Of course, the new member doesn't have the packet, but with that, yes, sir.
So Mike, I'm sorry.
Questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Question.
To include a comment to go forward to the commission,
Yes.
which I presume is what we're doing.
Yes.
Does any member just have a comment, or does it have to be agreed upon by the whole commission here to send a comment forward, or how does that work?
Well, you can ask a question if it's a substantial comment, like yours from last meeting. You were really discussing an intersectional issue in relation to a comp plan.
Well, I was using it as an example.
Yes. Yeah, and the comp plan doesn't drill down to the very specifics. It's a vision plan. We shall study the roads.
Right.
We shall fix Fuller's Cross at
Right.
Ocoee Popka. So
I only use the Fuller's Cross example.
yes.
To bring home the point of why I felt like we didn't want to eliminate some of this language from objective 2.
Yes.
And I've gone back over it, and I understand the desire to make this a general document.
Right.
There's a downside to that, which is that by generalizing, you can eliminate the specific without assurance that the specific will be done.
Yes.
Well, Mike, doesn't the land development code get more specific on each one of these elements?
Not with regards to a transportation study, not that aspect. So sort of the recipe we've put together for the EAR amendments, Commissioner Keithler has a good point. The consultant and I I'm not ready today to say, yes, we agree with you 100%, we're going to change. We are still going to look at it. We're going to bring this up as a major comment from the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay.
And this is our answer. Take it or leave it, commission, and go on from there.
So that's how you present it to the commission?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So just
That was really one of the overarching discussions we had. We had some good discussion on background and what it is, but that was really a significant comment, because it does affect, there's a lot in play. We're looking at going to constrained streets in some locations, so we don't want a 4-lane, we don't want turn lanes at every intersection. We're looking at more an urban form in the appropriate place, and you don't want a general code, obviously, you don't, a comprehensive plan. For instance, when we had the Dollar General, the attorney on the side of the opposition quoted part of a comp plan, and it was really specific. So they were trying to use that against us. Now, they didn't show you the rest of the story. They didn't show you the rest of the sentences. But, obviously you don't want to set it up. We don't like to use a lot of shalls because we like to use shoulds. So we don't want to make it too specific where somebody can appeal a comprehensive plan amendment or map change because, hey, this says you shall, and you didn't do this. So we're still looking at it.
So just to be specific,
Yes.
for the other members,
Yeah.
I'm only focused in on the policy 1.2.2. It's on, I don't know, it's on about the 4th page. Policy 1.2.2, and the next
Oh, in the,
couple paragraphs,
let me bring it.
down to objective 2.1 and policy 2.1.1. So this will only take a minute. Right now it says the city shall maintain a balanced multimodal network through coordination and partnerships with private and public entities. To me, that sentence says almost nothing. It says, we'll run the city. The next sentence is more specific. It says, the city shall provide transportation improvements which avoid disruption of existing land uses. To me, that's an understandable, specific sentence. This thing that we're looking at here proposes striking that sentence. I would propose to keep that in.
Right.
The next one says, the city shall ensure transportation improvements that enhance the function of planned activity areas. And then it adds, their proposal adds, that support multimodal strategies, such as the city special area plans and community redevelopment areas. I could take or leave that add-on. Again, it doesn't mean much to me. The next one, Objective 2.1, says the city shall annually monitor and maintain quantitative indicators from the Transportation Master Plan, including adopted levels of service and number of miles of non-automotive facilities on all arterial, collector, and local roads in the multimodal network. The next sentence is, I think, pretty good. The city shall provide adequate capacity of Ocoee's arterial and collector roadways to accommodate projected traffic volumes. I see no reason to strike that sentence, but that last sentence they want to strike. And at the last meeting, I pointed out the reason I don't want to strike it is because the city isn't doing that, and I used the Fuller's Cross intersection as an example. So I don't think you lose generality by putting those sentences in there. They don't detract from the generality of the statement, but they also provide some specificity to what the city is supposed to do. The last one is the city shall monitor and annually evaluate volume to capacity ratios on all concurrency management system roadways with current tools and needs as updated to maintain overall levels of service that balance a multimodal approach to transportation. They changed that just to say the city shall monitor and annually evaluate roadways. Again, I would offer that leaving the rest of the words still in there does not detract from the generality of the statement.
Right.
So my one and only point on this whole thing is that.
Right. And so
Mike,
what we
can
do
you
is we
go
go back and look at the overall goal in the beginning.
Yeah, can you go back point by point and kind of
Yeah.
clarify why you decided to
I'm
do
really
what you
good
did?
up to date. I can really call off the top of my head. Policy 1.2.2, and what it says is the city shall provide transportation improvements which avoid disruption of existing land uses. The problem there is what changed is there's a requirement that a project must be financially feasible. So if you're going to 4-lane Ocoee Road, let's say we're Mr. Eagle Creek subdivision, we're going to 4-lane Ocoee Road, and you've got to dedicate right away, and you've got a portion. The problem is if you do that, you have to have the 4-laning of Ocoee Road in your CIP, but it has to be funded in the first 3 years. Now, they've loosened some of that. You don't have to prove that it's funded, but you have to have a funded project. And now, the rule has changed that if Weston Bay made Ocoee Apopka fail, once it fails, now by law, you cannot make anybody else go back and fix a failed road. So to keep that in there, you've really got to change and do these what buts and what ifs.
You
and
mean by
really
anybody else, you mean the contractors or? the
no other
original
development. So once a road, and what we're seeing, we're not really seeing roads that are failing. We're seeing a lot of intersection, and under the analysis, it's not working right. But the road's not failing. But so in order to keep that, if it jives with the goal, it's just a lot of wordsmithing, because you say as a vision you can do that, but there's a lot of parameters you cannot make that happen. So that's one I'm versed on. But what you have is, you shall maintain a balanced network. They want to see a lot of multimodal. That's just a fact. I mean, that's where we are. In the vision, now in neighborhood by neighborhood, it doesn't make sense to do multimodal in every neighborhood. But as a vision for the city, as they expect what was that study they did? In like 2000, the big.
How shall we grow?
How shall we? That's it. Good. Yes, the how shall we grow. That's kind of what they're looking at. We're going to go from sleepy sub-bedroom communities as a region, and so that's why they really want to see the multimodal, because they want to see it as a vision.
So, my house is 3.5 miles from right here, and I just had both of my knees replaced. How's multimodal going to help me?
It's
Segway.
well, it's the argument.
I need a road that I could drive on.
Right, but the developer says, well, why do I need to put a sidewalk here? There's not one. Well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So we've got to start from the downtown and work our way north.
So that's fine, okay, but just to say, I guess the problem I have with your logic is, well, you don't want to say we'll provide transportation improvements, because then we might have to do that. That's basically what you said.
Did you say shall?
It says shall provide transportation improvements.
We'd like to.
So your argument is, well, we don't want to have to do that, so we'll just leave it out, which leaves you with a very generic, city shall maintain a balanced there's no criteria. How do you even know if you achieve that, a balanced multimodal network? One man's balance is another man's.
It would probably be 10 different ways, 5 different ways you could motorize, bike, walk, bicycle, bus, train.
So I understand why you don't want to be held
Share
accountable.
lanes.
I understand why you don't want to be held accountable, but
Yes.
I'm more about accountability for you guys.
Right, and remember, where this comes into play is when we amend the comprehensive plan, when we change the land use in areas. So when you have a large-scale amendment on a property, for instance, the one I was talking to you today, that if it comes in, not the Meritage, the one that comes in as townhomes, that's a low-density residential land use, say 30 acres, and they want to go to medium and high density. When we change that land use, we're sending that to the state to review, and we're showing how it complies to these criteria. So only in those cases where you're changing the land use, or if you're doing studies on an area citywide, on an individual site-by-site plan basis, a lot of these are, as Chairman McKee said, they're in the land development code. So it doesn't necessarily prohibit it when we're reviewing Meritage on the site plan.
But you take this out, and you're no longer required to improve the transportation
On the large-scale comprehensive plan amendment side, right.
Well, I think if you change the scale of a project from a low density to something higher, you have now, I think, kicked in across the threshold where other multimodal requirements are required and kick in there.
So Right. So for instance, we did a multi-mobility plan. And the multi-mobility plan, we were excited about it, but we cannot do away with transportation concurrency and just go with a mobility plan. But a mobility plan says, okay, I'm going to generate 5,000 trips. Well, let's look at it mobility-wise. If you provide wide sidewalks, if you provide a bus stop, if there's bike lanes nearby, we can say those trips, it's not 5,000 trips, it's 3,000 trips. So we want to look at stuff mobility first. Is there a way to provide other means of access besides the automobile? And that's the goal. Doesn't mean it's going to be achieved, but that's the goal.
So how's that going to, so using Meritage as example from where that is, what are you going to provide as alternative to automobile for them to get from there to here?
Well, for
They
them,
run buses?
they have the benefit they're on the West Orange Trail. So in that case, we would try to get people to make connections to trails, okay? That project just happens to be on the trail, so they don't need to run a wide sidewalk to it. But you would try to get people to go, either work with links on their future bus routes. You would try to do a wide sidewalk connection to a trail.
But that assumes people will want to ride their bicycle to go shopping.
That's already built. The assumption is, that's what people want.
Well,
That's,
the focus is, in that case, is the last quarter mile.
I'll leave that to Chairman Key. He's on the bike ped board, so he can tell what Metro plan, yes.
And whenever I look at a
It's growing, right?
You know,
Bicycle,
BRT or
all that stuff is growing.
Sunrail
so,
or
yes.
bus routes, it's always like, what's that last quarter, half mile?
Right.
Because people will walk a quarter mile, they'll ride a bike a half mile. But beyond that, it gets kind of edgy whether they'll do it or not.
Yes.
So you have to get within that range, like the Sunrail stations, trying to keep that within a half mile of parking and a half mile of other population centers.
Yes.
So you got 2,000 new houses that haven't even been built yet up in the north end. That's more than a half a mile from here, so they're not going to ride their bikes here. So what are you going to do, put buses? Everybody's going to ride a bus from all those 2,000 houses full of people, plus the ones that are already there? They're going to ride buses?
You can do both.
Well, you've got to look at the 2,000 houses in the north end of the city. Yes, it seems like it's way out there, but they are along the West Orange Trail. So
Which goes to Winter Garden.
They are, right, but it's also part of the coast-to-coast connector. But you can go to Winter Garden, you can go to Oakland, so you can work in Oakland, you can work in Winter Garden.
So
hop on
West
the
I'm talking about coming downtown.
But you can also go east. I mean, Pine Hills will be revitalized. You can go beyond Pine Hills.
That's in the works too.
But there is a trail. What we need to do, there is a link from the West Orange Trail in Pine Hills that heads south. We need that link. We have linkages from the West Orange Trail at Clark Road. Once that section of Clark Road is 4-lane from Claricone, Ocoee, you can get sidewalks.
So the answer is that if Ocoee-Apopka Road fails, the relief valve is for people to get on their bike, drive down to the connector at Pine Hills, drive south, and then back over here.
The relief is when we look at new development from now on, we'll say, let's look at a multimodal approach first to lower your count. We'll have to deal with what it says. I mean, if you make a road fail, you make an intersection. But let's first look now at, this is why we want 10-foot sidewalks. It used to be 5, 6-foot sidewalks.
I was always pushing
Then it
for
was
at least
8. Yeah, well now, under the multimodal, if you do 10-foot
10 is-
sidewalks, we can discount those
trail.
trips.
10 is a minimal trail.
Yes. So
Well, okay. My point still stands, which
Yes.
is the sentence that's left essentially says nothing. It says maintain a balanced multimodal network. There's not even a criteria there that says how you can tell whether you've done that.
Okay, that's a
But
good comment.
wouldn't you say that would allow the staff to go to a developer that's proposing all these things and saying, okay, the road's going to fail, what are you going to provide in way of multimodal? So that allows them to use trails, larger sidewalks.
Right. And it's
maybe
also
it's-
potentially
Maybe
pay.
a shuttle bus system to get them to a node somewhere.
And we hope at some point, the impact fee situation we're under, but at the time when that bond is paid off, the thing about a multi-mobility plan is you don't pay an impact fee, you pay a mobility fee. And that mobility fee, instead of the impact fee going to a specific road, that mobility fee can go to a road, it can go to create a share lane, it can go to create a sidewalk, a bus loop, it can go to other things. You're not tied to just a road project. So you gotta look at this as from 2016 to 2036. We're setting up 2036 to have a multimodal system.
Then the other thing you gotta think about too is this safer routes to schools, which you gotta consider, so.
Yes, and that involves sidewalks.
Exactly.
So what I'm after is more specificity.
Yes, that's good, okay.
To do
Well,
the
right.
very things that you're talking
Yeah.
Do we need to go that route, or is it allowed enough so the staff can work with a developer or?
There's two ways to go on this. One is to say, let's just back off all of this and say, run the city, okay? Let them have all the leeway they want. Or you can hold them accountable, okay? And have something that holds them accountable.
I like the accountability part myself.
I do too.
Okay.
So this,
So noted.
That's
this
all
one-
I hear.
almost all the changes, if you read through these changes, almost all of these take the teeth out of this comprehensive plan. It's not a plan any longer, it's more of a concept.
Well,
It's a comprehensive concept.
I know
Vision.
you have several issues about the city that you would like to change, and I think I do too, but I have to say that Mike Roomer and his staff have been working with these documents for years, and I think that kind of gives them an understanding of what has worked, what hasn't worked, what could they change to make it work better, and all I can say is maybe this is the suggestion to make it work better.
This is a suggestion that will help the city in moving forward try to achieve a more multi-mobility use. Certainly, we know that Ocoee-Apopka Road backs up at 7:15 in the morning. We had a plan. If it would have come to fruition, we wouldn't be talking about it. That plan kind of got dragged on, but we didn't give up. We never took it out. We kept that plan in our capital improvement program. So it's hard to argue on a site-by-site basis how this is not going to help create that situation again, because yes, there's always a reason. I don't want to say politics, because it's not politics. There was a plan. We had a good subdivision backed by a lot of money, Chevron, and they were moving forward, and they were going to do the improvement, and it was cheaper for us to contract through them and faster, and that got drug on, and then they finally recently said, we're not going to build it now, we're going to sell it. So just at the time that a certain resident up there is saying, hey, we got an issue, so it's kind of come together, and it's been discussed. There's a course of action. It might not work out. It might not be the best, but there's a course of action.
Well, without getting too hung on that one
Yeah.
particular issue, is there a way, Mike, to do sort of both of what the chairman said, which is, on the one hand, give you the flexibility to pursue the various options under the multimodal approach,
Yes.
but at the same time, hold yourself accountable for making sure that you don't let the transportation infrastructure deteriorate and levels of service deteriorate.
Yes. What's not taken out of the comprehensive plan is the roadway designation, classification, arterial collector. What's not taken out is the level of service. That will be looked at when we do the comprehensive plan update, a 20-year update. Remember, this is based off the evaluation done in 2007 and 8 and 9. And so then we will look at, if you go to our comprehensive plan, you'll see the goals, objectives, and policies at the end of the element. When you go to the front of the element, you'll see a lot of text. That's all data and analysis. Most agencies don't adopt the data and analysis in their comp plan. We have ours in it, so you can go and see all the roads and the level of service. We will look at those. We will modify those because we want to change some of them. We want some of them to be fail. We want them to be constrained and failing. So that hasn't changed for right now.
But don't you want those things that you put in there at your option
Yes.
to support objective, to be able to tie into objectives? You wouldn't want to have things in the plan that don't tie into an objective. right?
Correct,
So-
you do, yes, yes.
So all I'm
So
asking
I-
for is a little more
Yes.
specificity in the objective
Got it.
and the subsequent to these three policies.
One of the dangers of specificity, specificity being too specific, is that for years we struggled personally when we're adding onto the neighborhoods around the West Orange Trail and the schools, is that the developers want to give us this 3-foot sidewalk. And I kept saying, no, we can't have that, but it's in the development code, that's what they can do, that's what we're asking them to do. Or if we had this mobility thing, pretty much you can ask them to give us whatever's required to satisfy that need.
So that's a good example of why you want to be able to go both ways.
Yeah, so you
Yes.
want to have that ability to do that, so.
So I'm just concerned that,
Okay.
you know, I use the Forest Cross intersection as just an example, but I think I could find other examples around here where
Yeah,
you know, the growth is outpacing the infrastructure, the transportation
we're 20 years
infrastructure.
behind on everything, I think.
And, you know, I'd like something in the comprehensive plan that's specific enough to ensure that the city doesn't let it continue to deteriorate. That's all I'm after.
Okay.
So I don't know how we get that accomplished.
Well, I guess it's a question that could be brought to the
Right.
commission.
I think I have a good
in detail.
answer. I need my comprehensive plan and my land development code to show you that won't happen. But again, if I can't show that to you before the city commission meeting, I'll still bring it up as an issue. Because that's really the issue that when the P and Z comes together on one issue, I mean, they can, you know, I'm not going to list every single comment made by the citizens and the P and Z, but when you have an overriding, that was one that
Is this open to the citizens to bring questions to you?
you certainly can. It wasn't advertised as one, but you can certainly
So if
open it up.
anybody's
and
watching this
yeah.
tonight and has some questions, they could.
Or we could go
We
as
had no
citizens,
time for
right?
that. What's that?
We can go as citizens, right?
Oh, yeah,
They could contact staff and
Yes.
leave a question.
yes.
Go to the Ocoee website, or Better Ocoee or something, whoever that is.
So to bring us to closure, where are we gonna go with that particular
You guys
comment?
have anything you want to bring before the commission on this?
I will address it at the city commission meeting, however we address it, either change it, compromise, make no change something, but it'll be discussed as this is what was brought up.
Okay.
In your mouth, yes.
Just a personal request, can I be made aware of whatever you
Yes,
propose?
yes,
So
certainly.
that I can go if I need to?
Do we need to open this up for a public hearing?
Nope,
'Cause
no action. You
We're not
guys took
taking
it. I-
action, but in
Yeah.
case anybody wanted to speak. I guess, you guys have any other questions that you want Mike to bring to the commission?
No, I just want to
Concerns?
ask Mike about Chevron. Have they even come close to finding a buyer for the property?
They've got a brokerage firm that's going to market it and put it on some service, and they're uploading documents to it and finalizing.
Have they mitigated the arsenic problem?
Is that still popping up? Is that still an issue?
That's what I'm asking.
Half-life should be over by now.
I talked to the Eddie Browder with Little John, that was when they were going to come through and develop it, and I don't believe it's finished. That's what's kind of holding them up, putting it up for sale. All that, either all the documentation, they need to
Oh,
show
yeah.
that it's
So
all,
is that still,
yes.
Where'd that come from the orange operation there?
well, that was in
No,
operation.
it wasn't the orange operation. Chevron had that leased that property for 30 years.
And they were
And
testing-
they did tests on like roses and flowers and all that. And most of these sprays that they had were arsenic based. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And over the time, when I actually was the broker when we brought it in, and they were going to put the high school there.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And they did phase
Love
one,
Canal all over again.
then they did phase two, and when they hit phase two, boy, the school board went the other direction. That's why they're where they are. But
No, interesting.
interesting.
and anyway, we ended up selling it to Chevron because instead of getting into lawsuits and everything.
Yeah, okay.
But,
That's a good, I didn't know that history.
The lady that handled it, Carla, I think, retired,
She
didn't she?
retired.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a
Carla
new
Baker.
person.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
She was beating that.
She retired, and that's kind of, Chevron made their change, and,
Yeah. I don't even know who's running it now.
right.
Is there a particular part of the property where that was going on, or? is
That
it-
fenced-in
Do I?
section, basically, the fenced-in section that you see is where,
Well, it's all fenced in, right?
yeah, pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was all over the property where they were doing that?
Well, so certain
There
areas
were
are
certain hot
dense
spots.
ones.
Hotspots.
It wasn't everywhere, no, but there were
A
certain
lot
hot
around that
spots.
building, kind of
Yeah, they were
where
trying
they
to-
would wash out the sprayers.
Right, and put
mix it.
parking lots where
Yeah.
the hot spots were and stuff like that, everything.
But over a period of time, that's supposed to kind of naturally dissipate to down.
Well,
to
they
a
find that
natural
it actually moves with the water table.
Does it really?
Yes.
level.
So,
Well, I want to thank you.
Now it's in Lake Park.
yeah.
But
I
even
thank
with,
you and the
even with,
staff for the work you've done on this.
even with Chevron, with their lobbyists and all, the best I remember was the state of Florida lowered the standards on that arsenic.
Yeah.
So at
Oh,
that
yeah.
time, yeah.
They had to get
that's,
through it?
Yeah, they lowered, I remember they lowered the standards on that, and so that made it
We raised the permissible.
ready for building then.
Interesting. Fascinating.
Okay, with that, so you'll be sending this on to the commission
City Commission.
April 4th.
Yes.
So if you have any comments, be sure to get back to Mike before that. Durgan, I want to thank you all for working on this. Appreciate it. As I say, you guys have been working on these, using these documents for
We've
years.
been doing it a lot cheaper than what people have hired others, so.
Yes, so we have to commend you for that as well. Is that the
Do
closing
you
of
want
it?
to see if anyone wants to say anything? since they're
Oh, yeah, we
voting
can
on
be
it?
glad to. Is there
It's
anyone
not
on
a
this?
public hearing.
We have
just a
We have
comment.
some queue public here. Would you people like to speak at all for the, concerning the ERA, we call it? Appraisal, evaluation and appraisal report. All right, with that, we'll close that section.
Okay, next, I would like to introduce Margie Rivera. We're introduced via
Oh,
email.
yes.
I said, hey, it's going to be a short meeting. Why don't you come hang out and kind of see what the cast of characters that we're sending packets to and emails to.
Probably-
So
She's probably
It's a
called all
rough
of us.
cast there.
You had me going last Monday.
It's, you
Once you got
know,
your attention.
Yes, you did. Oh, my God.
we are
Okay,
busy.
we're-
We have every type of plan in, revision, closing out, plats. We are slam busy with projects. We will have
Really?
projects at the next Planning and Zoning Commission. We will have the Montessori School, Phase 2. Phase 1 was a small daycare, 8,000, but you'll see it all in the Phase 2. It's a large scale, so it goes through the process. There's a Sunbelt rental wants to move from Winter Guard into Ocoee, and they have a site selected right next to our Public Works. It is I-2 heavy industrial.
Oh, okay. Well, that's appropriate, I guess.
So you'll see
Going
that
at the- that
plan.
big-
I think that plan, we've got comments. It might make it.
Is that that big lot just north of the?
It's all wooded. You won't, in between Public Works and where the Viking Supply Building is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we've got the next phase of Crown Point, we've got another phase of Arden Park, subdivisions, so they're already counted in the 2,000 lots that they're not,
Yeah, I
it's
know.
not adding to it.
We
So,
went over that.
yeah, you know, you're
I'm
familiar
not trying to
with
add to your numbers.
it. So,
You're
we
gonna have that all on one meeting?
I don't think all of them will make it. The Montessori's in a rush, we're trying to, so they won't all make
Yeah, okay.
it, so.
All right. Okay, so we had no new business, and we are in the project status report and the
Yes.
March calendar. Anything specific?
We had a pre-construction meeting
Oh,
for
so new projects.
Dr. Daniels, and that was on Colonial Drive
Pause and play.
by Pause and Play, yes. He's coming close to securing his site contractor.
okay.
So that'll probably be close to 60 days before you'll see the really site work going on out there. He's got some financing stuff, but a 30-day rollout from that.
Oh, I got a question for you.
Okay.
What's happening to the corner of Clark Road and 50?
Nothing.
They cleared out the woods.
You took out all those trees.
Yes.
You did.
The
You did.
developer that had the approval and secured the either sale or lease for the Mattress One, which is going to go up. But right as he was breaking ground, he got a contract on it from another developer, and that developer thinks he can build it all at once. So he's trying to He's trying to do that. That site has some cost because they put all the stormwater underground, and so he's trying to juggle. He's got like a deadline before he's really got to
Yeah,
get it done because he
that's-
has to open the mattress one, but he's trying to do a lot of things to get,
That's another underdrain system,
yes,
like the
it is.
Canes.
Yes. So I emailed him last week and said, it's going to become a dust bowl. You've got to grade it and
Yes.
seed it
Can we do something?
or keep working on it. And he said they're going to pick back up.
Okay.
Yes. Right.
And as long as we're talking about corners, what's happening with the corner of 50 and McGuire? The
Which corner?
north corner, northeast,
Where the
Okay.
hell?
Yeah, yeah.
where the Popeyes is supposed to go.
Oh,
It's
that's
a
other-
process issue. They've got the site contractor that's doing the commercial site, making the 3 lots in the stormwater track. He was also secured to do the Popeyes. And there's confusion on their part that he had to, they operate separately. You've got to close out the subdivision and plat the lot before it's an official lot. I mean, we'll work with you, we'll let you build the building and keep going and catch it all up. They kind of got off track, so they're trying to get back on track and realize that he has one project, which is a subdivision, one project, which is the Popeyes. So they're working out that paperwork. They had one tie-in to 50 that cost them some time. They had to wait for DOT to do their thing and
Well,
stuff.
that's what I was wondering, if there was some
Yes, there was a water
road
connection.
work that was.
Mhm, yes. On the water comes from the east and goes through the property and comes back out of McGuire, and the way he was connecting at McGuire had to be changed to like an underneath 45 or an over an existing pipe. That had to be changed, and I can blame some of it on some utility and
I was gonna say, is there
And
some
some-
forced mains there or other sewage?
it was a revision on how they were connecting.
They gotta be in the bottom.
Yes, so.
And how about the other corner, the opposite corner, the south?
Yeah, we've got
West.
that resubmittal, and we've got the comments are due any day now for that. I think they pretty much, I think it's all in the hands of the legal, in the sense of the release of lien for the little strip and all of that work. I think the
That
site
side of
plan's
50
good.
is done, as far as I know, at least.
The site plan's good to go.
Final.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other questions on the,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
we're not
I'll
that.
second that.
I've had all the
Anything
fun
you'd
I
like to
could,
add, Mike, before
I
we-
had all the fun I could stand.
Come on, we haven't even done an hour,
We didn't
Bill.
welcome Ms. Rivera to the.
Valentine's Day when I gave you the night off.
That's right.
That's right.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. And with that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Did you want a chance